from your knowledge and expertise, is there any like vulnerabilities in life, like to the average person, that maybe the average person doesn't realize is as vulnerable as it is? Like, I guess it's like the go-to be careful tip, or, you know, or like the first thing that comes to mind when someone says, you know, be safer with your this or that. Is there something like that the general public doesn't realize how dangerous it is to do this or not do this?
I mean, for me, and again, it's only because like I watch what scammers do, I watch their methods, and some of them are incredibly clever, but there's one common denominator that I would say, well, maybe two. One is an approach out of the blue by anyone, you know, okay, so someone knocks on your door, someone calls you, you've got an SMS, you've got an email, whatever it is, and there is some sort of carrot or hook on that. You know, you've got a discount, you're going to get a free hamper, you're going to get whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. If it's out of the blue, always assume it's a scam until you're told otherwise. So that's kind of a kind of vague one. But there's one in particular which is very specific that I see, sadly, an awful lot of people don't realize is as serious as it is. And that is one-time passcodes. If anyone ever asks you to confirm or to read out a one-time passcode, always that's a scam. Okay, no legitimate organization will ask you for a one-time code. And I've seen people comment, oh, but occasionally we'll do this. Don't ever do that. You know,
right.
no legitimate organization. There should just be that mindset that if you read out a one-time code, that is the same as reading out your password. And if everybody had that in their heads, I don't think it would be just as, you know, the implications of it. Or they can take over your account. When they can take over your account, they can order a new mobile phone or whatever the account happens to be. And it's just that serious. So honestly, one-time codes, anyone asks you to read them out, it's a scam.
Jim, technologies dominated and improved gigantically recently. I want to know your opinion on AI in general and moving to AI scams. And how can we...
And your tips on preventative measures that people can take that maybe you're surprised that more people aren't taking already. You know?
Yeah. I mean, hand in hand with the kind of one-time codes, that's a second factor. Okay, so the easy one, I would say, is turn on 2FA whenever you possibly can. If you don't know what 2FA is, basically, it's more than just a username and a password. Sadly, US banks, an awful lot of even the big ones these days, don't enforce that. So you can, and it's very convenient, of course, to store your username and password in your browser. But of course, as soon as a scammer gets onto your computer, even though you think you've logged out, all they need to do is
look in your cookies,
your history, and they'll log back into your bank, and you will be probably none the wiser. So honestly, second factor, you know, get a code to your phone as you're logging in, type in the code. It's not that difficult. I understand it's a bit less convenient, of course, and that's the reason why it still proliferates. But honestly, to safeguard your money, turn on that second factor, and that's just an easy way of doing it.
What about Face ID? Is it secure when you have your Face ID on your computer, on your cell phone, and other devices?
And authentication apps.
Right.
What do you think about those?
Yeah, I like authentication apps, I must say.
Look at you with your questions.
I like them. The Face ID, yes, it works at the minute. Okay, but I am just back from an RSA conference, and they kind of demoed being able to take a photograph of someone, even from the internet, and overlay it onto like a generic 3D model of just your face. And then they try the bank apps where you're meant to like use that Face ID, or indeed when you create the account. You don't normally go into a bank these days. You've got this little Face ID on your camera, and you can create it that way. But they can model your face onto someone else's face and actually bypass that. So now you need quite a lot of processing power, as you can imagine, and most large scam centers don't have that. But it won't be long before they do. So AI it's quite scary, I think, going forward. Banks and so on and financial institutions will have to have a good think about what they do to prevent those sort of attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the answer is, quite honestly. Is it more technology? Probably. But yeah, long term, we will definitely have to look out for
So since Ashton is a public figure, the
Wow.
only one in the family, next time he's gonna fall asleep, I'm gonna take picture, I'm gonna take his phone, I'm gonna match it, I'm gonna zoom it 360, boom, and I can get access.
That's how I got the photo off your phone of you on the airplane.
Yeah, you did. You asshole. I still want to pay back for that.
What's your opinion on password managers? Because every place needs your own special password. You can never remember them all.
Yep.
I know I have my ways of doing it, but like there's the services that offer, or you could keep all your passwords under our umbrella, but then
Just
it's
pay money.
all in one spot. Like, isn't that dangerous in and of itself? Like,
I would much rather that than have the same password for a load of different websites, because you know what it's like. Data breaches happen all the time.
Yeah.
And that is by far and away. I mean, if you've ever seen those emails where they're kind of blackmailing you to say, I know your password, it's this. That's all driven off data breaches, of course. And the problem is there are people who use those data breaches to then go to every website that they can, you can possibly imagine, and they will potentially be able to log in as you just because you reuse that password. So use a password manager, yes. Is it okay to store it on cloud? There are systems like a freebie called KeyPass, where everything's stored locally. Because if you're afraid of storing something in the cloud, maybe use something like that. It's free. I personally use KeyPass. Okay, I don't know if that says a lot about
it does,
me.
of course. Well, it means it's a good thing to use if you use it.
I'm not promoting anything, by the way. That's just a free bit of software.
Well, if Jim can trust it, then I think the rest of the world should be able to.
But yeah, I mean, at least you've got one password. Which, yes, you have to remember that password. Don't use it for anything else. Just use it for unlocking that. Generate random passwords for every other website. Yeah.
Who got scammed in Hollywood? Is it Jennifer Lawrence back in the day? Somebody got
Her photos.
into her iCloud,
iCloud.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
J-Law.